Surprise! I am doing a Let's Play on the web version of Papa's Hot Doggeria. You know, thanks to all the whole Mocharia Deluxe hype, me and Green Ethan just, you know, raving about Flipline these past few weeks. I've been getting back into the Flipline mojo, so I'm gonna try to do a Papa Louie Let's Play. You know, I spent a little bit of time tonight thinking about what to do, and I decided that Hot Doggeria would be a good choice, because, you know, it's simple, but I do have a lot of good memories with it. And, you know, simple doesn't always mean bad. You know, sometimes it's nice to just play a simple game, because it's, like, more relaxing. And yeah, like I mentioned, this is the web version, so it may not have all the bells and whistles that, you know, the HD counterpart has, but I can't really record on my mobile devices right now. I got some technical difficulties when I tried to release that Maple Mornings video a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was. And then, like, I remember there was actually another screen recorder I would use, and, like, I mean, it was pretty cool, but for some reason, for some reason, I would kind of have, like, trouble finding my videos. Like, I would worry about them getting, like, you know, deleted. And then, like, you know, I would always get anxiety because, you know, it would take me some time to find the videos that saved onto my device after recording them. And, you know, yeah. Unfortunately, I probably won't do any you know, mobile videos for a while. And I kind of just want to play the deluxe games off screen, so, you know, I kind of figured it'd be nice to, you know, go back to simpler times. Because, yeah, we're not going to have a lot of the customers that we grew to love and, like, you know, the features, like the holidays. But it'll still be a good trip down memory lane. Plus, there's still really good customers, you know, that are in the older games, such as Robbie. You know, he's my favorite customer. And then, you know, for you, Green Ethan, there's Taru. But yeah, I love Papa's Hot Doggeria. It's been a while since I've really played through the web, or any of the versions, really. So, I want to go back to those times. Ah! Yeah, you know, it's nice going back to the older games. You know, I love how far the, you know, Papa Louie games have come. You know, we get more and more features, you know. When we get, like, a port of a game, it's better than the, you know, other versions. Like, for example, I will be talking a little bit about it, actually, in this video, but we did get Doggeria Deluxe. And overall, yeah, it's definitely an improvement from To Go, which To Go isn't bad at all. You know, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Okay, good. Alright, that doesn't screw with my recording. Good to know. Alright. And yeah, like I said, the to-go version was still good, but, you know, I just prefer... Ooh, look what we have here. I do prefer playing the games on the computer. So I'm glad Flipline is, you know, bringing them back. Man, I'm so happy they can release games on Steam. I wasn't sure if they were ever gonna be able to. I remember, you know, thinking how much I wanted, you know, a freezeria with holidays and a burgeria, which, of course, you know, I still do. But, you know, the freezeria one came true. So that's nice. And yeah, plus we have the food truck now, and then we have the mid-game cutscenes. You know, we have customers that weren't in, you know, the to-go version. My favorite, you know, being Ali Kabam. You know, she's my favorite customer that appeared in, you know, the deluxe version, but not the to-go version. Because she didn't debut until Papa's Paleteria. But the only, you know, the only thing that, you know, the only change I did not like, you know, Green Ethan, you're gonna know what I'm about to say. But, and for anyone else who isn't aware of the holiday lineup, you know, watching this, you know, spoiler alert, but they did replace Valentine's Day with Mardi Gras. Yeah. After all, it's finally back after all these years. It's a bit of a shame, but at the same time, you know, Pally did need a Mardi Gras outfit. Might as well go ahead and get that out of the way, right? Oh my god. Alright, wow. Are you serious, Taru? Screw you. No offense, Green Ethan, but your favorite customer is being picky, 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 picky. She's not even a closer. Oh well, things are getting better. Beater. But yeah. It's weird, because I feel the same way about, you know, Papa's Wingeria. Well, the other versions didn't have holidays, but, well, you know, we'll just say Papa's Donuteria to go and Papa's Pasteria to go. They're definitely still better than, you know, their web version counterparts. I just don't like the particular aspect of them, of, you know, Valentine's Day getting replaced with Mardi Gras, because Valentine's Day is my favorite holiday. I I talked about why before, but it's just heartwarming. I like the aesthetics, the colors, the motifs. Oh crap! I think I forgot to put mustard on her hot dog. Sorry, Bertha. But yeah, at the same time, though, I am happy that, it's, that Pally now has a Mardi Gras outfit, that's over with. Because I do think she needs an outfit, for each holiday, eventually. And, I have mentioned before that, I do think a Mardi Gras would work better in a, steakhouse game than Valentine's Day. That's probably the one gameria that I feel like Mardi Gras would be better off than Valentine's Day. But, it could be a while before we get a steakhouse game. I think it was confirmed that, Matt and Tony are thinking about it, but, it may not happen for the foreseeable future. For all we know, they may not even be making, original games for the foreseeable future. Blech. They may just be focusing on porting already existing games to Steam. So, yeah. Now, it may... I think, Flipline should focus on, porting games that haven't been ported for a while. But, Posteria to go, that will give her, a bunch of outfits. Because, number one, Lunar New Year, so far that's only been in Posteria to go. And then there's, the Romano Wedding, there's Neptune's Feast, there's the Gondola 500. That game alone will give her, multiple outfits. So that will be a good game for Flipline to port if they want to go ahead and give Pally a bunch of new outfits for each holiday. And yeah. And that's assuming, New Year doesn't get replaced with, or, Lunar New Year doesn't get replaced with New Year again. Oh, no. Which, I do like New Year because it's colorful and fun, but, I think they should keep Lunar New Year in Papa's Posteria if they're not gonna, bring it back for a while. I was actually hoping we would get Lunar New Year in, Doggeria Deluxe, because, New Year is gorgeous, it's a gorgeous holiday. I've played, I'm currently in St. Patrick's Day in my, Doggeria Deluxe game. And, New Year, the New Year's ingredients and puppuccinos were gorgeous and colorful, but, that could have been a good opportunity to give her a, you know, Lunar New Year outfit. Yeah, we do need some posters and whatnot, severely. Seriously. It's so easy to spill toppings. Oh, wow. Sorry, Roy. Oh, yeah. The fucking freshness feature. Oh my god. Well. Oh my goodness, stop! Oh crap. Yeah, I need a timer. Oh my god, I'm sorry, Boomer. But yeah, Boomer is another beloved customer. That's, you know, one of the older, I guess you can, you know, not older as in age, but older as in, you know, they've been around for, you know, they've been in the Papa Louie's game for a while. But yeah, Boomer is another example on your part, you know, Green Ethan, and then for me, I also really, well, Dino isn't in this game, but, you know, Captain Corey and Grimmy are my other favorite customers. In the older games, you know, Robbie's #1, and then, you know, ooh, Rattlin as well, yeah. Rattlin debuted in this game, actually. Yeah, I'm probably gonna, you know, use the mini games to buy tickets. I mean, not tickets. To get furniture and decorations for my lobby. And then I'll save up some money, and then I'll probably buy a timer first. Because, man, you know, having a timer is absolutely crucial. Otherwise, it's so easy to let stuff, like, overcook and whatnot. Alright, visit shop. Aww. Alright, that should help somewhat. Greg. Tomatoes. Alright. And then, yeah, if you notice, you know, that stadium counter, I don't know what it's called, but you see that it had 2 regular hot dogs and 2 regular buns. That's actually an Easter egg, as they call it, to help you get started with the day. It will let you know what 2 hot dog. Well, you'll already know the first one because the customer will just come right away. But it goes ahead and tells you the second one, so you can get a head start on the second customer's order. Yes, I know. I almost said the second order's customer. I'll be right with you. Oh, la, 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 la. Oh my goodness. Alright, that should be the closer. Yeah, they do come pretty fast in this game, and I think this game actually caps at 10 customers. It's gonna be a bit of a wild ride, but it's part of the fun. If you ask me. Alright. But yeah, it does, back to the Gameria Pally discussion, it does make me wonder if, or when and if we are gonna get Lunar New Year again, if they're gonna eventually bring it back to a new Gameria. Or if it's just gonna be exclusive to Papa's Posteria, which I don't think it should be exclusive to Papa's Posteria. I mean, if it was like a holiday tied to like the town or the plot, you know, that's different. Like, you know, Sky Ninja Returns. That's gonna be another holiday that Pally is gonna get an outfit for eventually when we get Donateria Deluxe, but oh god, Hallway Hunt. No, it's not the worst game, Maria, or, I mean, minigame, but after a while, it gets crazy, and then the eyes just go everywhere, and ugh. Nice. Oh my, yeah, my tips are suffering severely. Yes, I know. Hot Doggeria. Wingeria, Freezeria, Taconia. I don't know what the M stands for. Maybe, oh yeah, maybe it's Pancakeria, because we already have a P. So they used M for, like, maybe Maple Mountain. Alright. Alright, finally the Italian sausage. But yeah. You know. Man, I'm still dying for Papa's Burgeria Deluxe. Now, I would like a... I think Cinco de Mayo would go hard, but at the same time... You know, you're right, Green Ethan. You know. Unless... You know, we get Onion Fest and Papa's Burgeria Deluxe. You know, who knows when it's finally gonna appear again. And, you know, Tony and Nat may want to, you know, try to get Pally an outfit for each holiday as fast as possible. So they may you know, put Onion Fest as the May holiday. If they want to go ahead and give it to her as fast as possible. But, you know, we could get a game, whether it be, you know, to go or deluxe, that has Onion Fest already, and that won't matter, but... My god, you guys are coming in way too quickly. Jesus Christ. Can you slow your rolls, please? Yeah, at least the decorations are somewhat helping. I just need a lot more for how fast these mofos come. Oh crap. Taru, you're pissing me off. So are you, Scooter? My waiting score is gonna suffer. Get out. Oh well, at least I got 100 on the build station. There we go. Man, this is something I genuinely missed about the oh nice older games. The freaking badges. Yeah, the stickers are not, it's nice that the customers have different outfits now, but god damn, I miss the stickers so much, or the badges. Alright, finally, a different floor. Alright, we're gonna buy a regular hot dog alarm and a grill booster. And we already got a floor, so we'll get a wall now. Tim. This is probably gonna be a longer video because I'm just in the mood to kind of talk and vent and talk about Papa's Mocharia and then just Papa Louie in general. So this might be a longer video. I'll try not to make it too terribly long. But don't be well, we're still only in 30 minutes, We still have quite a bit of time. Oh my god! Slow your rolls. Alright, alright. I guess I'll go to a different topic for now. But, you know, I've been feeling very disappointed, frustrated, and stressed out about something. So, you know, Zach was supposed to leave today, but he didn't. You know, my grandparents were, you know, from what I understand, they were supposed to get here on Wednesday, and then supposed to come back on Thursday, cause, you know, I get it, you know, time zones, you know, we're ahead of Hawaii like 5 hours, so like it could have been like, you know, I understand that it could have been late here. Like even like let's say because you know Hawaii takes a while to get to even by flight, and then like I said, it's you know 5 hours behind us, so it's already like late by the time they would like get in. But you know they didn't come today for some reason, and I don't understand the situation. You know, I'm one of those, you know, I've talked about it a little bit, you know, on here with you guys, but I am one of those people, you know, whose mental health is negatively impacted by dogs. You know, for, you know, some people, you know, having, you know, dogs, you know, can help improve upon some people's mental health. But for some people like me, they can worsen it. Because even if you're not taking any responsibility for, like, a dog, you know, having a dog can still be, like, you know, mentally draining. And, you know, that's something my dad just does not understand, you know. He invalidates my struggles with it because I don't have to do anything, and I try to explain to him why it's still frustrating, but he just does not get it. And, you know, I hate to be that person, but, you know, being on the spectrum, you know, I like to know if, you know, especially if it involves, you know, getting out of a frustrating situation. I like, oh my goodness, you guys are so picky. Alright, customers' cravings. The old school one, not the new school one. Oh my god. Yeah, I think it's this one. And then Rita orders Italian sausage. But yeah, like, you know, people on the okay, good. Autism spectrum. You know, we crave, well, I don't know if crave is, you know, the right term, but, you know, predictability is a big deal for us. And, you know, if plans change or if something frustrating is prolonged or is longer than we expected, then, you know, we get very, very easily frustrated over that. Wait, I don't. Yeah, I think she does order this. Oh yeah, I saw the Easter egg. Duh. You know, we get very, very frustrated easily over that. My guess would be because they were just too tired all day today to pick him up. Because, you know, it's a combination of, like, you know, different things, you know, their age, jet lag. I don't want to be that person that just says, oh, you know, old people cannot travel, period, but if you're in a situation where my grandparents are, then I definitely don't think you should travel. If you don't have to rely on people to do, you know, favors for you, you know, that's fine. But if you have, like, a dog with separation anxiety, you have to rely on people to, you know, dog sit all the time, then you probably shouldn't be traveling. If, you know, another factor too is, you know, I don't know if this is and I don't want to blame, like, this completely on age, because, you know, I don't want to sound ageist, but you know, they tend to, like, I don't know the term, but, like, they'll say, like, one thing, but it always ends up being something else. For example, their last vacation to Mexico, they said they would, like, be here, like, Tuesday, but they ended up coming on Thursday. And, you know, this isn't just with, you know, their vacation nonsense, but I also remember, you know, my grandmother saying, you know, she set up an appointment for me, a hair appointment. She said Wednesday the 14th, but, you know, the 14th actually fell out on a Thursday, you know, so, you know, she struggles to keep up with, like, you know, days and whatnot. And, you know, my grandparents actually have pretty good health for their age, but at the same time, you know, I've noticed a decline in their health, especially my grandmother's. And, you know, I just think it's a bit careless for them to be traveling all the time. At least when they have Zach. Now, even without him in the equation, they should still be careful. But, you know, he definitely reinforces the whole, you know, situation. Well, thank you for the perfect score, at least. Yeah, that's something I've noticed about this game is, you know, the customers you know, I think it's like this in maybe some of the other games, but this one in particular, I have noticed that the customers may be a bit picky at first, but as you put up more stuff in the shop, you know, they get to be a lot more generous with their scoring. Not just the waiting score, but also the build score in particular. Ugh, Taru. Alright. It is getting better, though, the waiting score, and the build score, for that matter. That makes me happy. But yeah, I hope he finally leaves tomorrow, but, you know. But yeah, I'm sorry, but I do think my grandparents are getting to an age where they shouldn't travel this heavily anymore. At least while Zach is still here. Like, when he does eventually pass, you know. I do like the idea of them, you know, traveling to their heart's content, you know. Because it won't be a pain in the ass anymore. Now that he doesn't have to come over here all the time, you know, they can just... you know, go and then come back whenever, you know. They don't have to be like, alright, we're gonna bring Zach here on this day and then wrongfully inform that, you know, they're gonna come back another day. You know, they can just leave for a week or two and then, you know, come back. Man, I wish Radish was... I mean, not Radish. Oh, Relish. It is. Okay, good. We're gonna buy some, you know, we'll buy some toppings, because I have noticed that they can help, so... What about the ketchup and mustard posters? I remember them. We do need them. Alright. But yeah. And yeah, and then, you know, my dad, yeah, and like I said, I try to explain the situation to my dad, but he just brushes me off and, you know, says it doesn't matter when it does. Because, you know, he has a hard time seeing things from my perspective, because we do clash in a lot of areas. You know, he loves dogs, so... And, you know, I get it, you know, we're all entitled to our own opinion. You know? But I've noticed that a lot of, you know, dog lovers are insensitive to, you know, people who don't like dogs. And then another argument, you know, my dad uses is that, you know, my grandparents, you know, slash his parents have done a lot for the family and in general. And, you know, I'm not saying we shouldn't be appreciative of, you know, that type of stuff, but I don't know. It just, I don't know, the whole situation that's been going on, you know, for the past couple of years now, it's just kind of a mess. My dad tries to get me to snap out of it, but, you know, it just makes me feel worse. It doesn't alleviate my... Ooh, finally! About damn time! It does not alleviate my frustration. It just intensifies it. Ah! Sorry. It's hard to get these things even. Alright, please stop coming in. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Alone. Oh my goodness. You guys are so impatient. Please tell me that's the closer. Or the food cricket. I call him the food cricket. Okay, and thank you for ordering a regular hot dog. Alright. Yeah. Now, as for Mardi Gras, I actually wouldn't mind seeing it if appear in March. You know, either appear in March or march on out of here. Oh shoot, I gave him a tomato. Sorry, Robbie. And then my waiting score. Oh my god. The freaking waiting score, man. Yeah. I'm gonna try to focus on what I can do to improve that. Yeah, you're right, Green Ethan. Sometimes it seems like, I feel like the closers and the food critic are, you know, they're disguised as to be more, you know, to be more picky and have a lower tolerance to slip-ups and impatience, but sometimes it feels like they're actually the more generous customers. It's bizarre, but, like, it is something I've noticed. like Home Run Derby because it's nice and easy and quick. Alright, yeah, that's what I want to see. Posters and decorations, and I'm going to buy more. Oh, there we go. There we freaking go. Eat! Oh my god. Ah. Alright, that should help a little bit more. Alright, come on, customers. Please, 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 please go easy on me. I want perfect scores in perfect days. Please. Alright, the field station slip up on Robbie was my fault because I wasn't thinking. I just have a lot on my mind right now. But, you know, the weightings, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because the weighting score. Man. But yeah. I am hoping, you know, that, you know, as time goes on, you know, my grandparents will realize that, you know, traveling is just not, well, at least while Zach is still here, it's just not some, you know, it just causes a bunch of extra stress for everyone. You know, my dad, you know, he's family oriented, but I feel like he can be family oriented to a fault. You know, he doesn't really, you know, understand, you know, boundaries. Or, like, even my, not just his own, but also, like, my boundaries as well. Another example of this is, you know, him being insensitive to me not wanting to go on long road trips with, you know, family members. And, you know, and that's not always just, you know, with my grandma in the equation. You know, that could just be, you know, him, me and Bubba, or him, me and Bubba and my mom, you know. And then, you know, I've talked about before how, you know, having a lack of boundaries, you know, it's not gonna strengthen family relationships. It's gonna strain them. Especially if you're on the autism spectrum, because, you know, people on the autism spectrum might, oh god, I don't want to use the word stricter because it may make them look bad, but we do tend to have, like, we're very particular about our boundaries. We may not have the same boundaries as a neurotypical person. That's just something, some neurotypical people just do not understand. Alright, yeah, things are getting better. I'm a bit worried about the freshness feature, but, as time goes on, we can buy more and more furniture and, switch out, some of the furniture. I want to keep the ingredient-based furniture because that's what's going to help us with the build station, but I can always swap out the wallpaper, the flooring, and, like, the other types of furniture, on a reasonable basis. Alright, Taru, you're impatient. Yeah, I feel like the waiting score is what I need to focus on. The customers are being pretty generous with the build station, and if they aren't, it's usually my fault, but they still need to crank up their patience just a little bit, and then I'll be on a roll. Yup, Ethan, you are absolutely correct about the closers being more generous. And that is a hill I am willing to die on. And yeah, Cool Shop is another minigame I'm pretty strong in. We need the furniture and the posters. And the money. Okay, good. Alright, some things to improve our waiting score. Alright. Great. But yeah, there's really no telling when Flipwine is, what the next deluxe game will gonna be. We all thought it would be a while before Doggeria Deluxe came out. But, here it is already. But I hope it'll be a while before we get Doggeria Deluxe, because the to-go version already has a lot of stuff that it already has, like, the food truck and, the midday cutscenes. At least Doggeria to go didn't. So I do think they should focus on some of the more outdated games. My theory as to why they haven't done Doggeria yet is because they still need to figure out, because, the game needs a lot of work. It does, it's the most outdated game, so they need to figure out a lot of, new stuff to add. But, that could be why they've been procrastinating, I guess you could, call it, on, Doggeria Deluxe, because, they could be thinking about it, as we speak. They just want to focus on, like, maybe some games that will be easier to port, You never really know. Alright, finally, Taru. Thank you. Robbie! I apologize about the slip up. I just have a lot on my mind. Oh my god, these customers, man. Robbie just came in and I'm already getting another customer. Oh, crap. Oh, well. Alright, at least it's just a closer. Alright, thank goodness. Jesus Christ. Alright. Sorry, Greg. I skipped you. Oh! Oh, I got 100% on the waiting score, but he penalized me. Ugh. Greg. You are gonna be the death of me. Oh. Ooh, yes, thank you, Robbie. Ugh, come on. Oh, okay, good. I already had a hot dog. You don't gotta worry about that. Hopefully Felicia's girl gives me a perfect score. I know she's a closer, but they are very generous deep down. You are absolutely right, Green Ethan. Alright, yeah. Things are getting a little bit better, aside from Greg penalizing me. Greg. Alright, we'll play for one more day. But yeah, I said this earlier on, but to be honest, I would actually like to see, you know, Mardi Gras as a March holiday. I think it would be interesting. I just don't like it replacing Valentine's Day because, you know, it's my favorite holiday. But, you know, as a March holiday, you know, that'd be interesting to see, you know, Valentine's Day and Mardi Gras exist at the same time. But now Pally needs an Onion Fest outfit. You know, an Onion Fest has appeared in, you know, multiple games, so. Hopefully it, you know, if we don't get... Alright, we'll buy this one. Alright, one more day. Yeah, I think Penny is unlocked with the hoagie bun. Yep. Or hoagie roll, yeah. Alright. Robbie! Sorry, I'm just making sure it's cooked evenly. Because they will dock you for that. Oh my god. You guys are blasting in like no one these beeswax. At least we're getting better and better with our lobby. Oh my god, I'll be right with you. You're so freaking impatient, guys. Thank you, Robbie. Alright. Well, this is a good day to end off, at least. Yeah, at the beginning, I was just putting a bunch of regular hot dogs, but now we have the Italian sausage. It's not really feasible anymore. Oh my god. You know what? You can just wait. Oh yeah, they don't have a freaking timer. Oh my god. What do you want with me? As Professor would say, you guys are overwhelming me. Ooh, nice. Alright. Alright. That should still be good, actually. Oh my gosh. Can you guys slow your rolls? Oh. Oh. Ah. Crap. Yeah, we do. We. That's probably my next priority is a timer for the Italian sausage. We'll get on that in the next part. Okay, yes. These customers are getting a lot more patient. I appreciate that. Thank you guys. But, oh my, yeah. These things, this needs timers. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. They are getting more patient. I am worried about, you know, them losing patience because of the fuck ass freshness, but who knows? Maybe I can manage. Yep. Which I overcooked, you know, Zoe's hot dog as well, and she docked me, but I also overcooked Zolo's hot dog, but he still gave me a perfect. Yeah, I swear, you know, the closers are disguised as picky assholes, but deep down, they're some of the most generous customers. Alright, yeah, I'm not gonna play this game. Or, you know, hallway hunt. Anyway, I think that'll be a good place to stop it. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.